The Colts will go on the road to play the Tennessee Titans here in week 2 in the NFL. Welcome back to another Indianapolis Colts podcast, as I will talk a little bit about Sunday's game as well as a Titans preview here, as the Colts will go on the road for the second consecutive week to play the hot Titans, who just beat a Browns team who a lot of people were pretty high on early this year. And we will see how the Colts are going to, come out here after a overtime game against the Chargers that you could take a lot of positives from. There were a lot of, some negatives as well coming out of that game that you need to correct in this one to have a chance to win here. But I think that the Colts will look at their tape from Sunday's loss against the Chargers and build on what they need to correct. And they're going to come into this Titans game a little more sharp than they were in the last one, where you look, they didn't have many penalties. We had no turnovers. So it was a clean game in some sense, but the Danico Autry penalty was a killer. The Houston offsides penalty when there was a sack on third down, that was a killer. Vinatieri on special teams, the punt block, just those things you need to clean up in this game. And I think that the special teams are really focusing this week on doing that. As you've seen, Vinatieri has prepared a little bit more for this game as he would a normal week. He's kicking an extra day, and from what I've seen from him, he looks to be pretty good from what he's done. And the kicks that I've seen, he's kicking from 50 plus yards and drilling them. So, and they don't look to be shanks, kind of like what we saw. It wasn't even good kicks. I thought from Vinatieri on Sunday against the Chargers, but I think that he can bounce back this week, and he's the greatest kicker of all time for a reason. So, we'll give him a pass for that week. But if it happens again, that's not good for Vinatieri or his chances here with the team this year or beyond, of course. So, those things I really and more things I wanted to talk about. Marlon Mack had his 174 yards against the Chargers. That's a career high for him. The Colts protected Brissett for the most part, only giving up 2 sacks from Braden Smith on the right side there. Brissett looked pretty sharp. You liked what you saw from him. And T.Y. Hilton also was on the money and clutch in clutch time situation to get you the tying touchdown there late in the fourth quarter of that. So you really like to see that. You like to see or you like to see that Jack Doyle is coming back into this offense and getting a little bit more strides as he's come back from that hip surgery. And I would like to see a little bit more Eric Ebron in this game. And he's had some success against the Titans in the past, in 2018, of course. So look for him to have a little bit more of a presence now that Funchess is on IR for at least 8 weeks. So the things that need improvement, of course, the special teams on defense, and special teams and defense, really, those were the 2 out of the 3 parts of the game that you need to win. You need to be solid on all 3. You were bad on 2. And the Vinatieri woes, of course, I've already talked about that. You need to improve your defense, as now you're going against Derrick Henry, who is we had a hard time tackling Austin Eckler in open space, I thought, last week. And Derrick Henry, even though he isn't as fast as Austin Eckler, I'm sure with his bigger frame is a little bit harder to take down. So let's see less of the chopping for the ball and more wrapping up, as I'm sure that Matt Eberflus is going to really instill in his guys this week to do, as they really need to step up that part of it, as it just was not up to par for what the Colts were in 2018. And I think that looking at how many draft picks the Colts took this year on the defensive side of the ball. You have to evaluate the defense on a higher scale this year, and they need to be better than what they were on Sunday. So look for them to step that up, and I'm really hoping that Eberflus will get a scheme going here that's going to stop this Titans offense and limit them to a heck of a lot more than 43 points, what they scored last week against the Browns. And they just need this week, I think they need to really focus on not getting themselves in third and long situations, or if you do get into those situations, have a couple plays that that you can at least get, you know, get a first down in some of these plays, because going against this Titans defense, you looked at what they did to Baker Mayfield, 5 sacks on him all day. So they're going to be coming at Brissett pretty hard here, and at the inevitable time when probably the Colts will give up a sack, you've got to be able to get yourself out of that situation. And I thought that Frank Reich did a really nice job on Sunday for most of the game of keeping them on third and manageable and getting positive yards each play. So they need to continue to do that. And if they get themselves into a third and long situation, have an idea, and Brissett needs to have an idea of what he's going to do in that situation, because sometimes those just have to be picked up, even though the odds are against you there. So I'm going to go in more right now into the Titans preview. The Colts, and this is a stat that you hate to see, but I'm going to mention it. The Colts are 10-0 versus the Titans with Luck in the game. Well, Andrew Luck is now retired from the NFL. And now you've got Jacoby Brissett, who is going to come in here and struggled that year in 2017 against this Titans team, and was sacked, I believe, against the Titans at home 10 times in that game. And it's when T.Y. Hilton was actually calling out his offensive lineman for not protecting Brissett and for giving up sacks. And so a lot has changed since then, of course, and Brissett is in a lot better situation now and a lot better offensive line now than he was a couple of years ago. But the Colts are really going to have to step it up, and the Titans know that Luck is not in this game, and it's Jacoby Brissett under center. So Jacoby Brissett has to come in and play another good game, just like he did on Sunday, if not better, to win this game. The Titans obviously beat the Browns 43-13, and the Titans look to match up against the Colts really well in the Colts joint practice a couple weeks ago when the Browns came to visit. Of course, that's not NFL game situation type setting, but you did see kind of their guys, coming at, and the Colts, were lined up against the Browns. Well, the Titans just beat them out of the water. And you look, and the Colts also beat this same Titans team for the most part last year 2 times. And obviously in the winner get in situation last year in the playoffs. But this year you don't have Andrew Luck. So you're going to have to see Jacoby Brissett and this offense really take over a lot in this game on the road. The Titans defense looks really tough. They sacked Mayfield 5 times and limited this high-powered Odell, Jarvis Landry, Nick Chubb, Baker Mayfield offense to 13 points in the first game, who a lot of people has really said high things about in this offseason, and saying that the Browns have a chance of winning the Super Bowl. And I think that now people are kind of slowing the brakes on that a little bit, but the Colts need to come in and kind of woe the Titans a little bit, bring them back down to speed, as I'm sure that's just one game day. Anything can happen in the NFL, and any given team can win on any given Sunday. And maybe they were just executing really well that day. So just look for this Colts team to come in and have a lot of confidence, knowing that they beat them 2 times last year. This is obviously a different football team this year, but you know that. And I think that you can come in and work on this defense and hopefully limit this offense with Derrick Henry. That's my second point. Limit Derrick Henry on running the football. I thought that you had a lot of missed tackles last week. It's going to be an emphasis this week to bring him down and limit these runs that, looked like they were going to be stopped at the line, and you had guys diving all over the place, and then they'd scamper ahead for 10 yards. Got to limit those, and you've got to stop Derrick Henry and the Titans running backs, and really just make Mariota make tough throws. That is going to be the big thing. Mariota had a nice week last week, I will say. He had 3 touchdowns, 248 yards. He was sacked 4 times. So that's something that you can look at, but he looked to be pretty efficient last week. So can he do that on consecutive weeks? Mariota just has, ever since he's been in the league, he's just been very inconsistent. So look to see how he's going to recover from that in week 2 and see if you can limit him. And if you're stopping the run game, make Mariota make tough throws and be there to force turnovers against this quarterback. And you have a good shot to win the game. And, Titans are more of a run first offense, and especially with Mariota, there's a lot of questions at quarterback down there in Nashville. So I think the Colts really need to load the box, focus on stopping the run, and put the ball in the quarterback's hands, and you're going to have a shot. I think that the Colts' key to the game, you have to establish the run game early. You do, and we saw it kind of establish more throughout the game on Sunday. I think you need to see it a little bit more in this game. The Titans defense looks to be pretty tough, and you've got to come in and run the football and run it hard. And I know this offensive line is capable of doing that. I think that big opportunities are coming up for Deion Kane and Paris Campbell, 2 guys that are going to get a more established role now that Funchess is going to be out for several weeks, and look for these guys to step up. And that's why the Colts and Chris Ballard has brought them onto the team. They do have a lot of potential, and these guys, along with your TY and all of your tight ends, these are going to be legit playmakers for you now that Funchess is out. And I just think that the defense has to have a better day. They have to, and make Mariota make the throws, limit Derrick Henry running the football as much as you can. You're going to give up some plays, and you have to come out of here with some turnovers. You've got to force a turnover, at least one. And I think that this defense is probably they're going to give up plays. That's just what's going to happen. Hopefully you limit them to, less, but this defense is going to give up plays. You've got to limit those big plays. And I think that Malik Hooker has done a great job of that. Every time that there's a big play, he's always the deep guy, and he's always making the tackle. And Malik Hooker is really underrated for that value. But limit those to no big plays, but you're going to give up some. So you've got to come away, on the other hand, with some turnovers to offset that and give your offense some life and give them some good field position for this tough defense. I think that I want to see less man coverage and more zone coverage. I thought that last week we saw a lot of man coverage. There were a lot of burnt plays and a lot of plays over the middle in these crossing routes where just the receiver had a step on them. And in zone coverage, you can limit that somewhat, as, of course, the defenders have a little bit more of a zone on the field. They're not just running across the whole field. And sometimes, that's when you get some double coverage type things. Take away the Titans' best receiver, and I thought that the Colts really didn't do that last week. They were just staying one-on-one with Keenan Allen, and Keenan Allen was shredding you. So that's tough. And so I want to see more zone coverage with some man in there, of course, with loading the box and just coming back to your cover 2, your Tampa 2 roots there, covering the flats, not, giving up the really the really short stuff and coming in hot and making a tackle like you did all of 2018. The Colts were running the football all of 2018. I think that's what they're going to have to do now to win this game. And the last point I have is Vinatieri has to have a good game to keep his job. If he comes in and miss a kick or two, I mean, there's no guarantee that he has the starting kicker job for the Indianapolis Colts week 3. He's got to have a perfect game, not miss a kick, and he's the greatest kicker of all time. So I have no doubt in my mind that he's going to absolutely do that. So I'm going to give him my faith here, and Vinatieri has to have a good game. That's something I really want to mention. I think that my predictions on it, it's such a tough one. It's on the road after an overtime loss. This Titans team's looking pretty tough. I think Brissett has to have another good day. You can't have Brissett with 150 passing yards with a pick or two. You can't have that, and I don't think that Brissett's going to throw it into situations where he's going to throw a bunch of picks, and I don't think he's ever going to do that. But he has to have another good day. But I think the win is going to have to come again from our offensive line and Marlon Mack running the football. He's going to have another good day as well. So Brissett and Marlon Mack really are going to – those guys I'm looking at the whole time. And these guys are going to have to step it up and come in. And like I've said, the defense – will give up some yards, but they have to force some turnovers in the end of the game. I think that you're gonna give up some rushing yards from Henry. It's just gonna be inevitable. You're not gonna hold him to under 30 yards rushing or anything like that. You're gonna give up a few points, but I do have the Colts winning this football game. 24-17 is my score. I'm gonna give them this 7-point spread there, and that's going against Vegas, I'm sure. I've seen some different numbers throughout the week. I saw the Colts were 4-point dogs early. I don't know the recent ones. I haven't looked that up this morning, but I'm going to take the Colts big in week 2. They're going to bounce back and get an impressive dub here in week 2, just like they did last season, and it's going to have to set a tone for the rest of the year, as the Colts are going to go home and play the Falcons, who played a really rough game in week 1. We're going to see them in week 3 at home in Lucas Oil. That's going to be another one where you've got to come away with a win there. But, this game is going to be tough. It's not going to be an easy win. It's not one that especially now that Brissett is in the game, that you've just chalked off as an easy win here in the 2019 season, as this Titans team are going to be a contender in this AFC South. So you've got to get a game for the AFC South chances right now, as you're looking to win the division and get into the playoffs that way. As you saw, the Jaguars, the Texans, and the Colts all lost in week 1. That's good news there. And the Titans are the only one that came away with a win in week 1. So beat the Titans here in week 2. And now you're looking pretty in the AFC South running early on in the season. So that is my predictions for this game. The Colts will in my mind get the win, hopefully here. I mean, I could see it going the other way too, as this team has over the years. But I think that looking at these two teams on paper, they match up pretty well together. The Colts found a way to beat them 2 times last year, pretty handedly, and without luck. Of course, that's a big loss, but I think they're going to still come away here with a win in week 2 to kind of jumpstart their season. That's all I want to talk about today leading into this. I hope that it's a great game, and we're going to see how they're going to come out this week. And Jacoby Brissett and Marlon Mack coming off his career high. What are they going to do leading this offense and this defense? Darius Leonard and Malik Hooker and Pierre Desir, Kenny Moore. These guys are going to all have to have big days, as they are the big names on the Colts right now on defense. So that's all I want to talk about today. Thank you for listening to another Indianapolis Colts podcast. Subscribe and like this video if you haven't already. And I will be back following the Colts Titans game for a recap on Sunday night. So be looking for that. Thank you for listening, and have a good rest of your week. Go Colts.